Every 4 years, the world unites to celebrate what it means to be human: strength, endurance, and the relentless will to win. The Olympic Games are more than just competition. They are a stage for the best of mankind: courage, dedication, and dreams that defy limits. But behind the roar of the crowd and the shimmer of gold lies a side rarely seen, a darker, quieter truth. Over the decades, the Olympics have also been marked by grief, accidents, and death. Some of these tragedies unfolded before millions, others far from the cameras, but all left scars on the history of sport. Tonight, we look beyond the glory to uncover the stories of 6 true Olympic tragedies, moments when the pursuit of greatness turned into a fight for life, and sometimes the final chapter of it. It was July 14th, 1912, a bright summer day in Stockholm. The city was alive with excitement as runners gathered at the starting line of the Olympic marathon. Among them stood Francisco Lázaro, a 21-year-old carpenter from Portugal, humble, hard-working, and determined to make history for his country. He had trained for months, though never in such extreme heat. That day, the air shimmered at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius, brutal by Scandinavian standards. The course stretched 26 miles through open roads and blinding sunlight. Moments before the race, Lázaro made a decision that would seal his fate. To protect his skin from the harsh sun, he covered his body in a thick layer of wax and animal fat. He believed it would prevent sunburn, not realizing it would also block his pores, trapping body heat inside. As the marathon began, 69 runners surged forward. Lázaro started strong, pacing himself with the leaders. The first miles passed easily, cheering crowds, blue skies, and the thrill of representing Portugal. But by midday, the heat became unbearable. One by one, runners began to collapse on the roadside. Lázaro pressed on, drenched in sweat that could not evaporate. His breathing grew heavy, his movements slower. By mile 18, witnesses saw him weaving from side to side, his face pale, his eyes unfocused. Moments later, he fell to the ground, unconscious, his body burning with fever beneath the waxy coating. Spectators rushed to help. Doctors poured water on his skin, trying desperately to cool him. He was taken to Serafimer Hospital, but his body temperature was too high. By dawn the next day, Francisco Lázaro was dead, the first athlete in Olympic history to die during competition. His death shocked the sporting world. For the first time, organizers realized the Olympics needed medical oversight, hydration stations, and heat safety measures. A century later, his story still serves as a haunting reminder. No glory is worth more than a human life. Fast forward almost 100 years. Vancouver, Canada, 2010. A cold afternoon at the Whistler Sliding Center, one of the fastest luge tracks ever built. The track was engineered for speed, but many athletes quietly feared it. During training, competitors had already been clocked at over 93 miles per hour, 150 kilometers per hour, speeds far beyond normal luge standards. Among the athletes was Nodar Kumaritashvili, a 21-year-old from Georgia. Luge ran in his blood. His father and uncle had both represented the same small nation decades earlier. For Nodar, this was his dream come true. But during training runs, he had already voiced concern. "The track feels too fast," he told teammates. Coaches reassured him, "You'll get used to it." At 4:44 p.m. on February 12th, Nodar began his final practice run. The first few corners were smooth, perfect control, flawless timing. His sled skimmed the ice like a blade of light. But as he entered turn 15, nicknamed 50-50, everything changed. The slightest misjudgment sent the sled drifting left. Nodar tried to correct, but the steering came too late. In a split second, his sled rocketed up the icy wall and shot off the track entirely. He flew through the air at 87 miles per hour, slamming into a steel pillar. The impact was devastating. Medics reached him within seconds and began CPR, but the injuries were catastrophic. At 5:50 p.m., Nodar was pronounced dead, just hours before the Olympic opening ceremony. The news spread across the globe. That night, the Olympic flame burned lower, the ceremony shadowed by grief. Within days, officials raised the walls, added protective padding, and changed the start position to reduce speed. But for Nodar's family, and for the entire Olympic community, the change came too late. His story became a symbol of speed, risk, and the fragile line between courage and tragedy. February 22, 1992.
Almost
Val
finished setting
d'Isère,
up the tent.
France.
Perfect.
The snow sparkled
should
under
be
a
here
pale
soon.
sun as Swiss speed skier Nicolas Bochatay, age 27, prepared for what was supposed to be a relaxed morning run. The Olympics were already underway, and Bochatay was scheduled to compete in a demonstration event showcasing the adrenaline-fueled discipline of speed skiing, a sport where athletes hurtle downhill at over 125 miles per hour, wearing aerodynamic helmets and sleek suits. But that morning, Nicolas wasn't chasing records. He was just warming up with friends. He chose ordinary alpine gear instead of his racing equipment. No aerodynamic helmet, no specialized suit. At around 10:30 a.m., as he descended an intermediate slope, something unimaginable happened. A snow grooming machine, one of those massive tank-like vehicles used to smooth slopes, was parked just ahead. Whether it was poor visibility, a moment's distraction, or simple bad luck, Nicolas didn't see it in time. Traveling at high speed, he slammed into the back of the machine. The force of the collision was fatal. He died instantly. The skiing world was stunned. The Olympics had lost another athlete, not in the heat of competition, but in the quiet minutes before it began. In the aftermath, Olympic officials banned non-authorized vehicles on slopes during athlete training and introduced new communication protocols between maintenance crews and teams. Today, Nicolas Bochatay's death stands as one of the most tragic and preventable accidents in Winter Olympic history. A sobering reminder that even moments of calm can hide deadly risks. Rome, August 26, 1960. The sun blazed mercilessly over the Eternal City. Cyclists from around the world gathered for the 100-kilometer team time trial, a grueling test of endurance on the open roads. Among them was Knut Enemark Jensen, a 23-year-old Dane competing in his first Olympics. That morning, temperatures soared to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius. The air was thick with heat and dust, shimmering off the asphalt. Jensen had reportedly taken Rognacol, a legal circulation stimulant believed to enhance stamina. Many athletes of the time used such tonics, unaware of how dangerous they could become under extreme heat. For the first hour, the Danish team rode in perfect rhythm, swapping leads, maintaining a fierce pace. But as they neared the final stretch, Jensen began to drift behind. His pedaling grew erratic. His head drooped. His teammates shouted encouragement, believing he was merely exhausted. Then, without warning, he collapsed, crashing to the ground mid-race. Spectators rushed forward. He lay motionless, breathing shallowly. Paramedics doused him with water, trying to cool him, but his temperature was already critical. He was rushed to a hospital in Rome, where doctors battled to stabilize him. Jensen never recovered. He died that evening of heat stroke exacerbated by the stimulant. The tragedy made headlines worldwide. For the first time, the Olympic Committee acknowledged the dangers of performance-enhancing substances. Within years, anti-doping regulations were introduced, a legacy written in the memory of one young man who paid the price for progress. Knut Enemark Jensen's death was not in vain. It sparked the conversation that would eventually make modern sport safer, cleaner, and more human. Innsbruck, Austria, January 25, 1964. The sky was crystal clear above the Patrickhoffel downhill course, known for its breathtaking views and terrifying speed. Australian skier Ross Milne, only 19 years old, was training for his first Olympic appearance. A dream that had taken him from the dry hills of Sydney to the frozen Alps of Europe. Ross was among the few from his country to compete in such conditions. Despite limited facilities back home, he had trained relentlessly, driven by passion, not privilege. The downhill course was unforgiving, narrow turns, icy patches, and sheer vertical drops. Skiers regularly exceeded 80 miles per hour. It was a test of balance, courage, and fate. During one high-speed run, Ross approached a sharp left-hand turn, a spot notorious for its difficulty. Whether due to a split-second error or a mechanical fault, he lost control. His skis slipped wide, pulling him off the racing line and into the edge of the forest. At over 60 miles per hour, he struck a group of pine trees. The impact was instant and fatal. The news devastated his teammates and stunned the Olympic village. Ross had been known for his humility, always smiling, always helping younger skiers. His loss was not just Australia's, but the world's. In response, officials re-evaluated downhill safety. The result was the introduction of wider safety margins, stronger fencing, and stricter course inspections. Those rules still protect athletes today. Ross Milne's story is remembered not as a failure, but as a lesson written in snow. A reminder that courage can sometimes come at the ultimate cost. Not all Olympic tragedies happen in competition. Some unfold quietly, far from the cameras, among the men and women who build the dream. Athens 2004, racing against time. In 2004, Greece, the birthplace of the Olympics, was racing to complete its venues after years of political delay. Workers toiled day and night, often 16-hour shifts with minimal safety measures. The pressure to meet deadlines was immense. Accidents became inevitable. On March 15, 2004, Dimitrios Antonopoulos, a 45-year-old worker, fell 100 feet while installing lights at the Olympic Stadium when a safety cable snapped. Only weeks later, Nikos Georgiou, a crane operator, died when his machine collapsed under overload. By the time the games opened, at least 4 workers had been killed and dozens seriously injured. While the world celebrated gold medals, their stories faded into silence. Rio 2016, the human cost of celebration. 12 years later, the same tragedy repeated itself in Brazil. Construction for Rio 2016 began under tight schedules and political pressure. Safety shortcuts became routine. On March 27, 2013, Anderson da Silva Santos was killed when a massive crane collapsed in high winds. On April 3, 2014, 2 more workers, Fabio Luis Pereira and Ronaldo Oliveira dos Santos, died when a stadium roof section gave way. And on April 21, 2016, a cycling path built for Olympic events collapsed into the ocean, killing 2 pedestrians. By the end, 11 lives had been lost during Rio's Olympic preparations. Investigations later exposed a pattern of negligence, cheap materials, ignored safety standards, and relentless rush to finish construction on time. These men were not athletes chasing medals. They were laborers, fathers and sons building arenas for others to shine. Their contribution remains invisible to most, yet the Games could not exist without them. From Lazaro's fatal marathon in 1912 to the workers of Rio 2016, the story of the Olympics is not only about triumph, but also tragedy. Behind every victory, there are sacrifices, some remembered, others forgotten. These individuals, the runners, the riders, the skiers, and the builders, gave everything in pursuit of something greater. Their stories remind us that the Olympic flame, while eternal, burns brightest because of the lives that fueled it. The next time the world gathers to celebrate the Games, remember them, the silent heroes who never made it to the podium, but whose stories became the foundation of safety, honor, and remembrance in Olympic history.